What's up, you guys? Today, we're going to go over my multi-track mixing template, and I'll show you my workflow and what I have set up, as well as have it available for download below. So please like, subscribe. Let's get started. At first glance here, we have quite a lot going on. Something notable is a phone reference button. When I turn this on, I can actually reference the song on my phone without having to export. If you're interested in that, click the video above. Now, we also have a reference option here where we have a reference 1, 2, and 3 routed to our reference for listening to reference tracks. Now, the reason it's done like this is because all my instruments run to this mix bus. That way I can reference completely separate from the rest of the song. And then I can easily switch back by clicking Alt and clicking my mix bus. And that'll unmute or solo the mix bus and everything underneath it. If you were just do a normal solo, you would see nothing else here. Alt click, we get everything back. Now for our reference, all we have to do is drag a reference track into each of these boxes, and any audio that we put in any of these tracks in the playlist, I said boxes, tracks, will automatically route to these three references, 1, 2, and 3. You will notice these lock buttons. The reason for these is if I soloed my reference, I'd get all three playing at the same time, and we don't want that. So if I lock them into staying the way they are, then in my mix bus, it won't play because it's only running into this reference that's muted. But if I solo the reference, we're going to get one of those tracks, and then to switch between, I'm just going to want to manually click through my reference tracks. So this is really cool because I can put a span or balance control on both of these, the mix bus and the reference. And I can also start adding master effects by adding to the mix bus instead of our actual master. And those master effects added to our mix bus will not affect our reference. So we can still maintain a good point of reference off of one of these reference tracks without affecting it at the same time as the rest of our mix. Now, I always load this up with the Uline loudness meter at the very end because I want to be able to measure my loudness. I do have span and tonal balance control on both these tracks, as well as Shep's Omni channel, which you don't need, but I like to have a compressor on my mix buses personally for when I'm working. It is turned off. It is optional, so I can turn it on when I want it. And generally, I do two-step compression. I also have a preamp option just in case I want to add saturation. Now, if you download this template and you don't have any of these plugins, that will not work and will not load, but you can always replace them with your own stuff. So as we look through the rest of this, it's mainly going to be buses and only 3 instruments, the vocal, kick, and bass. The reason I have my kick and bass loaded is because it's very often I'll saturate a bass, and so I have that here, as well as pre-handling any side chaining. For the side chaining, I've got F6 with the bass in the pocket side chain from kick preset, which I may opt to change as I work. It's just there and available with my side chain input already routed, so I can skip a few steps, and my kick is already routed side chain information to the bass. Now my kick will go off to my drum bus, my bass will go off to my instrument bus, and my instrument and drum bus will go to my track effects bus, where I have an optional tape stop, high pass, and low pass all ready to be turned on. For the tape stop, I use cassette transport, and if at any time I want this, I can click the stop start, go tools, last tweaked, and I can link that in the playlist to be controlled. I do not keep it in the playlist to keep the playlist clean because we're dragging a bunch of instruments in here to work with. Now, I do set up my vocals with a bunch of different options. That is going to be one of the main exceptions because I find it a lot easier to just insert my vocal and double out and cut any parts I want to be used for a vocal throw and just slap them down one. As well as doubles, I've got a bunch of extra tracks for doubles, and I can insert more if necessary. And then our ad libs with left and right options below, where I can just drop in something to be panned hard left or hard right. Every one of these tracks with these 3 options here are assigned and automatically routed to one of these mixer tracks for anything that is in that track. So here's my left and right, panned left and right. Anything I drop into here is going to be sent to this ad libs section, which is the same as right here. So I'm not missing out on anything because they're both routed there. Our ad libs then get sent out to our vocal bus, as well as some auxiliaries for our vocals. These are unassigned, but just optional and ready, so I don't have to do the routing later. Then I've got my doubles routed to the vocal bus, and my vocal throw, which is the only one not going to the vocal bus, being sent to our mix bus, and then our main vocal going again to the vocal bus and our auxiliaries. I've got 2 spare auxiliary tracks here in case I want to set those up, and I keep those hidden for organization by just clicking this option here. Now, if you'll notice, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And the reason I do this is I want these before anything else we're going to add to these tracks, because I like to use Fruity Sends to send information, and I do the sending with the Fruity Send because Fruity Send is going to be before our mute button in our signal flow. Our signal comes in from another mixer or whatever and goes through here, through the EQ, and then down in here is about in the signal flow where these mute buttons and things are going to be. So I can mute my vocal and it will not mute my auxiliary track. Whereas in the standard way, if I just sent the info over by linking like this, that's going to be after the mute button instead of before. So I will no longer be able to hear whatever that's sent to, except for if we send it before the mute button using these Fruity Send options. Now, that's all cool, but why did I put 6, 7, 8, 9, 10? Why are these mixer tracks numbered prior? The reason is because if I right click, you'll see I have some options, but Fruity Send works off numbers. This is number 1. Number 1 is going to be the first thing available. I have 2 auxiliaries, 7 and 8, and then a vocal bus, which is 11. If I were to put a send prior to the vocal bus, or the Fruity Sends for that matter, I'll link this to our reference 3, and I right click, you're now going to see number 1 is reference 3 instead of our vocal auxiliary, because reference 3 is earlier numbers before any of our vocal auxiliaries. So in order to make sure that things don't get lost in translation or changed, and to make absolute sure that my stuff stays routed to where I want it, 7, 8, 9, 10 is going to be after our main output options and before any buses or any tracks. Now, something to note about our auxiliary bus here is we do have a sidechain sent to our instrument bus, already pre-routed in the back, with a mid-side option set, and we're only taking away the mid of the area where our enunciation is for our vocals, ready to go if and when I want it. Also in our drum bus, we have an EQ ready for any potential touching up we'll need to do on the bus, as well as a Fruity Soft Clipper ready to be turned on and used anytime I might need it. Now, my workflow here consists of pulling in a track, and when I pull in my track, I will generally pull it down to about right here, and then I will find what I want and what I need. So current is the entire track, don't need it. This melody loop here looks blank. Let's double check. Whenever I have a silent track and I want to check and see if there's anything there, I click normalize. Nothing came up. We'll get rid of it. We have our kick, so I'll move our kick to our kick section. I want you to notice it is now automatically routed to our kick. Don't need this master track. Don't need these. Looks like 2 layered snares, a couple other snares, a single snap, 808 to the bass section. And then this doesn't have any vocals, but if it did, I would throw those up here along with any references, and we could work from there. Now, the next step in my process, once I get everything in here, unless there's something I want to keep for a specific reason, I will open up the channel rack, go Tools, Macros, select Unused Channels, and then I will click Alt-Delete. Okay. Now, the fact I have so many snares in here I might decide that I want to send all those snares to the same location. So to do this, I could select these like that. If they are in different places, you can hold Shift to click and add or drag and add. If you don't hold Shift, it'll just start you over. I could come to my mixer. I could right click a mixer track, and then I can go channel routing, route selected channels to this track. Now, if I don't decide there's something I want to send to the same channel, I click all of these I need, hold Shift, go to the next, and I select everything except for the stuff that's already assigned. And then I'll click Control L. That'll send it to this first available track here, and then label everything and send it all the way across. So now all those are linked. So if you decide that you want to download this from me and you want to add some EQs with low pass filters and high pass filters or something like that to all these tracks, something to note, reset all of these, is that if we do our Control L method, I want you to notice the stuff that I have effects on, 23 and 24, got completely skipped. And so now we have these empty mixer tracks, which is kind of annoying. So the way to get around that is if I have these selected, instead of clicking Control L, I can come to the first one we want, right click, channel routing, and I can route selected channels starting from this point. And that'll start them from there. Now we still have these last ones colored because they got renamed, but you'll see our effects end at 31 right here. So there's nothing routed to 32 and 33. And now, because I did paste the ones prior, the names are all messed up and confused. So just to fix it because I can, I'll reselect those tracks, click this first one, do it again. And there we go. From there, depending on how I route this, I will click Control and select anything that I might need. And right click whatever bus I want to send it to, go route to this track only. And now all of my percussion is sent to that track. Oh, besides these two, those are snares as well. Okay, so now it's all sent to that track. And then my samples, if it was multiple instruments, I could route to this track only for the instrument bus, and it's all set and ready to go. And now if I need headroom, I can hit Control and I can select all the instruments, turn them down. And this, of course, changes volume after anything that we put in these effects slots. So if any of this is running too hot, you're going to want to actually fix it in here by turning them down each at the knob. And then you'll notice when I did that, I didn't change any of the vocal volumes. That's because all the routing in here is really interesting. So you can hit Control and Shift and select these individually. If you just hold Control, it'll reset. Control Shift will select the things you want it to select. So there's a ton of good stuff in there that is all workflow related to make sure that everything goes as smoothly and quickly as possible, and so that you don't have to click more buttons than you need to click. We've got analyzers preloaded, reference slots set up and ready to go, a killer workflow between both. We have a phone reference option. All of our buses already set up with track effects ready to go. We've got side chains set in place, ready to be turned on. Mix bus compression turned off and optional, along with auxiliaries and just the whole nine. If you like this template, you can download it below. If you like this video, please like this video. If you have any comments, please comment. I always appreciate a subscribe. It's Warren with Scale Audio. Adios.